progress.
Thank you. Good afternoon, students. Not able to see any chats today because technical team has just informed that the option of asking questions will not be available on the Zoom app itself. It will be available on the BOS app on the portal. So if you have any queries, you could raise the query over there. However, if there's any, so for any random queries which you are getting now and then, keep posting it on the portal. But if you have any queries where you want to ask, there you could raise your hands, and at an appropriate point of time, like how we have been doing in the previous classes, we will allow you to talk at that particular slots, right? Otherwise, what happens is too many questions comes up and we are deviating from the topic. So let's maintain this decorum that all questions you can post it on the BOS app and on the portal. And please raise your hand so that I know that people who have doubts, we can unmute them and listen to your query. Okay, how have you been? How has been the weekend? So we've got a long break. After that, we are meeting again today. So hope the concepts of whatever we have learned is not gone, because that is very important that we keep that concept, because it's all continuation from there, right? You have understood basics, you understood supply. And now today, from today and tomorrow, today and day after session, we will be discussing on charge of GST. And charge of GST is very much linked to supply. Okay, so it's all interlinked subjects, interlinked topics. So do not forget, the reason why these breaks are given is for you to digest it and revise it, so that if you have other subjects, you can spend time for them. And whatever we've been discussing in the class, the expectation is that you revise that respective chapters. Okay, so at least from the next class, what I would expect is that before I start the topic for the day, you should be prepared and done a revision of what we have discussed, so that any queries of the previous chapters, if you ask, then I'll know that yes, you have gone through the previous day's discussions, and then you're coming back with questions. Clear with this? I'm seeing very few responses on the app. So if you have not updated the app, or if you're not able to do it, please try to do it, so that whenever queries comes up during the discussion, you can raise it over there. Okay. So today we are discussing on charge of GST. What is charge of GST? Like how we had discussed in the first chapter on supply on the levy. This is also a kind of levy. This can be called as a levy or a charge, saying that what is the transaction on which GST is levied. That is what we will discuss here. So we know that it is supply, correct? But just supply, if we say, is it sufficient, or there should be a charging provision? Because supply, what we read is the definition part. We understood the definitions, and the definition is itself so elaborate that it has to go, it had to be studied in depth. And charge, then charge is based on the levy. That levy and charge, when we use interchangeably, it is the charge which is predominant over the supply, because supply is the item on which charge is created. Okay, so this becomes, yes, Tejaswini, Shruti, Divya, Rati, Malini, Ranjita. So there are only 4 to 5 people whose response I'm able to see. Other responses I'm not able to see. So if you just provide some feedback, then we will get to know. Or if you are facing any problem, raise your hand so that the technical team can help you. Yes, before we start, we'll take up the query.
Sir, chat
yes.
box is disabled, sir. I'm not able to do chat.
Yes, that is what you have joined late. That is what I was making the announcement, that the chat box will be unavailable on the Zoom. You will not be able to see the chat. chat, you'll have to use the portal for asking any question.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Fine. Yes. Vaikunta Vasu, Mahalakshmi. Are you able to unmute yourself? Okay. Yes, good. I've got few more responses. Praveen, you, it is yes. To switch, it's difficult, but that is what the Board of Studies has decided, so we have to live with it. Yes, Pranav, your messages are coming. Deepak BS, Komal Jain, Shruti Kumari. Yes, so Shruti Kumari has a question as well. Tenant is a registered person and he rent for residential purpose. So he is also not liable to GST? No. If the tenant is a registered person, in the RCM we had discussed, right, 5AA, wherein that line says that if you're providing rental to a registered person, that we will discuss in the charging today, then who is liable to pay GST under reverse charge? When you provide rental services to a registered person, then a person who's registered will have to pay GST under reverse charge. Okay. Yes, yes. So now I'm saying getting answers. Yes. Bhumika, Tanu Vishwakarma, yes. I could see your messages now. So we'll get into the charge now. Technically, everything is clear. So we are clear to go and start with this chapter. Charge of GST is the power to levy. So first of all, the power to levy any taxes will go to the constitution, then come to the levy under GST. Firstly, constitution needs to have a power, correct? So that power to levy tax was drawn from the constitution through amendment 246A, 269A. These amendments happen. How did these amendments happen? These happen through the constitution's 101st Amendment Act. And once that Amendment Act was passed, then new provisions came in and the power to levy taxes on both by the center and the state on one transaction, wherein parallel levy was given to the both the center and state. So the constitution got the power. So the GST Act itself, the charging for GST is coming from the constitution. Now, for under GST, once we know that constitution has passed, GST Act has been, constitution has approved it, then a GST law has come in. Now, once the GST law has come in, then we'll have to see what is the charge in GST. Okay, so what is the charging or levy section? The basis of charge is the taxable event. So what is that event for which you will collect the GST, right? Any event should be there, fixed event should be there. Like under the previous laws, once you manufacture, we will pay excise duty. Once there is transfer, under the definition of section 54 of the Income Tax Act, right? Income Tax Act defines what is transfer. Once there is a transfer, then you'll pay capital gain, correct? So there is a particular event which triggers and then it is charged. So the taxable event in GST is supply. So we know this. So once a taxable event is defined, that is the point when it is charged. Now, how do they say? So it is so easily I'm saying that yes, it is a taxable supply. But what is the law behind it? Which is the section which says this? That is what we will see it here. So before getting into that, we know the basics that when is a CGST charged? CGST is charged when basically it stands for Central GST Act, correct? And it is applicable on supplies within a state. So if you have any transaction when the supplier and place of supply are within the state, then CGST is charged. and whatever tax is collected will be shared to the center. This is in parallel with the SGST Act, because CGST Act is gone, is the revenue is going to the center. SGST Act, the revenue is going to the state. CGST stands for Central Goods and Service Tax Act. SGST stands for State Goods and Service Tax Act. It is application is both. Both of them are applicable on supplies within a state. Correct. Nothing is a transaction which is happening outside the state or interstate state, you will not levy CGST, neither SGST. In a case of intrastate transaction, which is supplies within a state, we will charge CGST and SGST. And third levy is called IGST, which is integrated CGST. This is integrated goods and service tax. This is applicable on interstate and import transactions. Why on import? Because the power to levy taxation on import is given to the central government, and import is treated as a interstate transaction. That's why IGST will apply on interstate and import transactions. Now, the IGST tax which is collected, will it go to the center? No, it will not go to the center fully. It will get transferred to the center. Center, as we know, again will transfer to the state, to the person who is claiming IGST and paying state GST. Correct. Now, when I'm purchasing something from another state, the supplier will charge me IGST. Now, that is the credit which I have. Now, this credit, what I will do, I can utilize towards any output IGST, or we know that IGST credit can be utilized for IGST, CGST, or SGST. We have seen that chart, right? So IGST is one credit. It is like a common blood group, which can be utilized for against all blood groups. Correct? We have this blood group called O positive, which is a universal group which can be given to any person who's having any blood group. Unlike other blood groups like B positive, A positive, has to be given by the same person who has the same blood levels, right? Who has the same blood group. But O positive is one blood group which can be given to any donor. Similarly, IGST credits can be utilized for payment of IGST. It can be utilized for payment for discharging your liability of CGST or SGST. So when I'm discharging IGST credit to discharge my SGST, so I am taking the credit of another state which that other person had levied me, and I'm discharging the SGST. So the government SGST, whatever sale I'm making, now I'm paying less taxes because I'm utilizing this credit. But did I actually give the tax to the government? I did not give, but I've utilized the credit. So the government from the back end uses this IGST as a temporary bank, and it takes the credit whenever I do this credit utilization. It takes the amount from IGST and gives it and or settles it with the state. It gives it to the state because the state has to get that revenue. Correct. So IGST, even though it is called as a tax, it works like a kind of a transfer agent, that whatever any person is charging IGST on any transaction, it will sit in IGST. Once that state utilizes the IGST, that IGST portion will go to that respective state. Okay. After that settlement happens, whatever is left over, what could be left over when you are making supply to a unregistered person? You will charge IGST, but that unregistered person will not claim. What could be the other instances? When you're making any supply to a composition dealer. A composition dealer cannot claim the input tax credit. Correct? When you make any supply to a composition dealer, then also the credit will remain in the IGST pocket itself. It doesn't get transferred to the state. Third is because he cannot claim the credit. Third instance could be when you're making any supply to a registered person. Okay, regular registered person, but he cannot claim credit on that. Like the examples are all the blocked credits, the credits which are blocked. When we read input tax credit, we learn what is a block credit. So now understand that any credit which cannot be taken is a block credit. So all such blocked credit cases or credit has to be availed within a particular time limit. It can't be that I have given an invoice to you and you claim it after 3 years. There is a specific time limit within which you can claim it. So if you have availed it. Sorry, I'm using a different word. When we read input tax, you will understand that availing and claiming is different. So you have to avail it on time. You can claim it anytime. So once you avail it, it becomes yours. So if you have availed it on time, then it is yours. If you have not availed it, again, that much amount is lying in IGST, which is not utilized by any state. So those taxes which are not being distributed to the state will get distributed, will get shared. If it goes directly to the state, it is that state's credit which is being utilized. Whatever amount is left over in the IGST pool, that will be shared between the center and the state. Okay. Mahalakshmi, your questions are coming in, so you could keep posting it. If service provided to student, then it is constitute a supply. Yes, why not? Any kind of a business, profession or vocation is also covered. So services provided to a student is also considered as a supply. So there is a difference between property let out to a registered person and property used by tenant for commercial purpose. Suppose a person doing business and registered and doing business in his individual name may take property for residential purpose. There is difference between both the statements. If you see this, our chapter on charge of GST, we will also talk on reverse charge. So once we discuss on reverse charge, then what I'm trying to say, you will understand. And if you are trying to tell something else, that will also be cleared. So we'll wait for the discussion on reverse charge so that we are clear. Some hands being raised. Bhavna Garg, you can.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, can you explain IGST in short in Hindi?
Okay. तो IGST क्या होता है? जब मैं इंटर स्टेट सप्लाई करता हूं तब हमको पता है IGST लेवी होगा, करेक्ट? अभी IGST क्या काम करता है? IGST जो है, मेरा जो भी आउटपुट है, प्रेजेंटेशन, इज माय प्रेजेंटेशन विजिबल?
Yes, sir.
ओके. सो IGST क्या काम करता है? इट इज अ कॉन्ड्यूट. कॉन्ड्यूट मतलब जो दो चीजों को कनेक्ट करता है. जब भी मैं CGST SGST चार्ज करता हूं तो वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को जाता है, और सामने वाला भी अगर लोकल सेल करता है तो CGST का क्रेडिट CGST आउटपुट के साथ मैच होगा, SGST का इनपुट SGST के आउटपुट के साथ ऑफसेट हो जाएगा. बट जब कोई परचेज करता है लोकली और सेल करता है इंटरस्टेट, तो क्या करता है? वो CGST और SGST का क्रेडिट लेता है और IGST चार्ज करता है. और जब मैं IGST चार्ज करता हूं, मुझे लगता है ये टैक्स है, करेक्ट? ये तो टैक्स है ही है, बिकॉज इसका नाम ही है इंटीग्रेटेड गुड्स एंड सर्विस टैक्स. लेकिन ये जो IGST मैंने चढ़ाया है, जो पे किया है, वो गवर्नमेंट के अकाउंट में पड़ा रहेगा. अब जब सामने वाला जो परचेजर है उसको IGST का क्रेडिट लेना है, वो IGST का क्रेडिट लेके क्या करेगा? CGST और SGST पे करेगा, करेक्ट? तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? उसको किसी दूसरे स्टेट का क्रेडिट आ रहा है, लेकिन दूसरा स्टेट उसको क्रेडिट नहीं दे सकता है, बिकॉज दूसरा स्टेट के पास CGST और SGST का ही कंट्रोल है. अब जो मैंने IGST चार्ज किया है, वो IGST का क्रेडिट स्टेट को जाना चाहिए. तो IGST का जो भी टैक्स कलेक्ट होता है उसे सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट उस स्टेट को देती है जिस स्टेट में टैक्सेबल पर्सन ने IGST का क्रेडिट यूज किया है. तो फिर वो अमाउंट उस स्टेट को जाता है. तो इसलिए IGST टैक्स के बावजूद भी क्या होता है? मोस्ट ऑफ द पोर्शंस रेस्पेक्टिव स्टेट्स को चले जाते हैं. बाकी जो बचता है, ठीक है, ये सब सेटलमेंट करने के बाद जो बचता है, वो जो IGST अमाउंट है उसे स्टेट और सेंटर शेयर करती है. उसके लिए सेटलमेंट ऑफ फंड्स का एक स्पेसिफिक रूल है, उसमें हम देखेंगे. हम अभी नहीं देखेंगे, फाइनल में आपको लिए आएगा कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट जो है IGST में ये सेट ऑफ करने के बाद जो भी अमाउंट बचता है उसको सेंटर और स्टेट में डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करता है. Okay. Bhumika Agarwal,
गुड आफ्टरनून सर।
good afternoon.
सर मैं ये पूछ रही थी कि हमने वो आईजीएसटी ना शेयर करता है सेंटर और स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को, ठीक है।
Correct.
पर इसमें ये पूछना था कि आईजीएसटी कौन सा स्टेट कलेक्ट करेगा। जैसे हमने खरीदा माल दिल्ली से, इंपोर्ट किया हमने दिल्ली से, तो आईजीएसटी कौन कलेक्ट करेगा, दिल्ली स्टेट या फिर यूपी वाला स्टेट?
हमेशा आप जब भी सेल करते हो, ठीक है, तो टैक्स कहाँ पे भरते हो आप?
यूपी।
करेक्ट। आप अगर यूपी से सेल कर रहे हो तो यूपी में टैक्स भरोगे, करेक्ट। और आप अगर यूपी से बैंगलोर सेल कर रहे हो तो फिर बैंगलोर आके टैक्स भरोगे या यूपी में ही भरोगे आप?
यूपी में।
यूपी में ही। सो आप जहां पे रजिस्टर्ड हो वहां पे ही आप टैक्स भरोगे। So if you are registered in UP, if you make intrastate supply, you will pay CGST and UPGST.
Yes, sir.
And when you make a interstate supply to me, you will charge IGST and you will pay IGST to the UP government.
Yes, sir.
The portal will be one place where you will file your returns. The amount will go to the central government. But आपको दिल्ली जाके टैक्स पे करने की जरूरत नहीं. You will pay it in your state because in your returns it's a consolidated return for all the 3 transactions. तो फिर आप एक ही चालान में आईजीएसटी यूपी गवर्नमेंट को पे करोगे।
Thank you.
यस, हर्ष मारवा। Sai Kiran, you have any question?
Sir, that property, residential property let out purpose, I told you, na, that I raised a query. Na, for that purpose, I raised the hand.
Okay, fine. So we'll come to that reverse charge that time we'll discuss.
Okay. No. My question is that sentence to be framed like that, it should be used for, when it is used for commercial purpose, it will be reverse charge, it will come. But for registered person, if you let out, RCM will come like that. Na, that I'm not getting clarity, sir. That's why I'm raised the query. A registered person, individual person may be registered and he may take it for let out and he may use it for residential purpose. So there will not be any GST. Na, that's for that purpose I raised it.
Okay, we will see that wordings and then we will come back to your question.
Okay,
Sir.
okay.
Sir, Hardik.
Yes, Hardik.
Sir, I want to ask that in the previous chapter, when we did the DCA and for RWA, that is under section 7(1) capital, double A, and for the DCA 1, schedule 1. Sir, in that case, sir, who will pay the tax?
In the case of a association first. So
Yes,
there
sir.
are 2 questions. In case of a association, see, all the tax are paid by the service provider only generally. Correct?
Sir, specifically in case of RWA.
RWA same service provider only will pay. So RWA, the association is providing some service to the members.
Yes, sir.
So RWA will collect taxes and pay to the government.
Okay, sir. And sir, in case of DCA?
In case of a del credar agent, we'll have to see what type of a del credar agent is this. On his commission, definitely he will pay the GST.
Yes,
because
sir.
he is providing the service. Now, del credar agent is not so simple, correct? So on his commission, he will pay the taxes. That is fine.
No, sir, that one is clear. Basically for the principal and agent only.
Correct. So Schedule 1 applicability, we have seen that whether he is falling under Schedule 1. If he falls under Schedule 1, then the scenario will be the third scenario that the principal will pay the tax on the transaction. If he is falling under Schedule 1, then he is a agent which is independent of the principal. Then principal to agent, any transaction is covered as even without consideration, principal will pay. And for the del credar agent's transaction, he will pay the GST.
Okay, sir. And sir, one last small question, sir. Sir, who issues notification in indirect tax? Like we have direct tax CBDT, then like same association for indirect taxes is?
Correct. So Central Board of Direct Taxes is the body for issuing notification under income tax. In GST, we have a body called Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, CBIC, which issues the notification.
Thank you, sir.
But any notifications under GST, as we have seen,
Yes,
should
sir.
be approved by the GST Council. Only
Okay.
then they can issue it.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Divya? Okay. You had raised your hand. Okay. You can ask again a question later on. Aisha, IGST we had already explained in English, then we went to Hindi. So it was explained, don't worry. If we do supply with registered dealer in Union Territory, then it comes under which type? So wherever there is SGST, there you have to replace it with UTGST. So UTGST can be equated to a state. So a state is a state, a union territory is a union territory. Because the union territory does not have a legislature, instead of SGST, UTGST is used there. But if such union territory has a legislature, then it will have its own GST Act. If there is a company who has organized seminar, one who is providing service, or any event, whatever, except occurred, can company avail input tax credit. On any seminars, if it is used for a official purpose to its employees, the company can avail the credit. Okay, so let's proceed. Now, we know that when it is a intrastate supplies within the state go, generally what we also call it as local supply. When there is a local supply of goods, when do we know when it is a local supply of goods or services? I'll give you an example, or I'll probably put a question so that you can answer, then we will get to know. Now, a person in Delhi, he is selling packing materials, right? He's selling packing materials. He is in Delhi. Now there is a customer who is in Haryana. Okay. Delhi is a different state. Haryana is a different state. Now a customer is in Haryana. Now this Delhi person is supplying to Haryana. Now, in this transaction, is it a interstate supply or an intrastate supply?
Interstate supply.
Interstate, okay.
Interstate, sir.
Okay. Interstate supply, SGST and CGST will be levied interstate. Oh my God, Apurva, you are saying it is a interstate supply, but you are saying CGST and SGST will be levied. Mallappa, what is block credit means? See, whenever I purchase something, I will get credit for it. If I'm using for my business, I will get it. But there is a special category of credit which is contained in section 17.5, wherein they have listed out some category of goods or services. Even if you use for your business purposes also, still you cannot claim the credit. That is called as blocked credit. It is interstate supply. Okay, so everybody is saying it is a interstate. Now, on what basis are you saying interstate? We have discussed this. When is integrated tax payable and when is a UTGST, SGST payable. So basically we have discussed when is a supply called as an interstate supply and when a supply is called as an intrastate supply. So what basis you are saying it's an interstate? I'm not saying it is right or wrong. You may be correct, but tell me what is the logic or what is the basis you have come to the conclusion that it is an interstate supply? Yes, Bhavna.
Sir, transactions occur between two states. That's why it is called interstate.
Okay, which is absolutely wrong. Yes, Divya.
Because goods and supply service one state to other state transactions between the goods and supply to other states.
Which is applied to
But in intrastate means within state goods and service.
interstate means within state.
The intrastate. Inter
Intrastate
means
means-
other state. When we supply goods and service to other state.
Okay. Okay. See, I think we have discussed this, but let's make this clear here so that we are not confused. Just because the supplier is in one state and the receiver is in different state, that doesn't by automatically make that it is a interstate supply. So the criterias what we have to use is not whether the supplier and receiver are in different states. So let me modify this question. Then you will get to know that what you said is correct or wrong. Now, same question, supplier is in Delhi, customer is in Haryana. Now the customer in Haryana comes to Delhi and buys it. Okay, same sets instead of me supplying where I said supplier is here and customer is there. I did not tell where it is supplied. You have assumed that I am sending it there. That fact was missing. Now I'm adding this fact and saying that supplier is in Delhi, customers is from Haryana, but Haryana person comes to Delhi and buys the goods. What will this be a transaction? You understood the difference? The difference between the first question and second question was first question, you had assumed that the supply place, the place of supply, which is very important. You had assumed that place of supply is in Haryana. But without knowing the facts, how can you conclude that it was in Haryana? So the receiver of goods is not important. Specifically, we were talking of an example of goods. In case of goods, receiver of the goods is not important. In to determine any supply. Okay, so now you've told that it is intrastate. So that you should have told in the first instance also, or you should have asked where is the delivery of the goods taken, or where is the place of supply. That's why this slide is very important, where the location of supplier. Okay, this is the location of the supplier and this is the place of supply. If the these two terms are very important. Don't go with any other terms to decide IGST and CGST and SGST, where you see that supplier is in one state, receiver is in one state, receiver is in another state, delivery is in another state, consumption is another state, various other terms are there. But you need only two terms to decide whether it is a intrastate supply, where the location of supplier and place of supply, if both of them are in the same state, then it is an intrastate supply. Once it is an intrastate, definitely your answer is it is CGST and SGST. But where the location of supplier is in one state and the place of supply is in the another state. Okay, the location of supplier and place of supply are in two different states, then it is a IGST transaction. Okay, so the term which you have to look out for is location of supplier and place of supply. If these two are in different states, then it is a interstate transaction. In such case, where supplier sells goods or services to receiver in same place, then it's intrastate. It is dependent on your contract, where you have agreed that you will sell your goods at the factory gate itself. Then it is a intrastate supply. When you agree that you will supply it to the customer, then it is an interstate supply. Okay, so now we know what is interstate, what is intrastate, criteria for it. Now, extent of GST, extent of the CGST law, or first we'll talk of extent of the CGST law. CGST law extends to the whole of India, right? And India, the first section itself states the applicability of the law. Any section, any acts, the first section will be the applicability of the law, saying that this law is applicable at what location, at what area. CGST Act extends to the whole of India. India is defined under 256. Taki, there is no confusion. India is also defined under 256, which says that India is the territory of India as referred to in Article 1 of the Constitution, and its territorial waters. The territory of India as referred in Article of Constitution, that is the borders of India. So physical borders या land borders जहाँ पे भी हैं, that is the territory of India. Then the territorial waters. Beyond the land, there are waters. So how far can we go? That we can go up to the territorial waters. How much is that territorial waters? That is 12 nautical miles from the baseline. Okay, from the baseline जहाँ पे land खत्म होता है, पानी start होता है, वहां से 12 nautical miles is the territorial waters. Sea bed and subsoil underlying such water, जो territorial waters के नीचे है, all the natural resources, the fishes, whatever is there, that is also India. Seabed and subsoil underlying such waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zones, and any other maritime zones. So apart from territorial waters, उसके आगे भी India है. That is territorial waters plus continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, not special economic zone. Special economic zone तो land में भी होता है. Here the word they've used is exclusive economic zone. Okay. Territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zones, or any other maritime zone as referred in the Act, एक special act है जिसे कहते हैं territorial waters, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone, and other maritime zones. This is all one act, not like 4 acts separately. This is a one act. The name of the act is Territorial Waters, Continental Shelf, Exclusive Economic Zones, and Other Maritime Zones Act 1976. So there it is defined what are these 4 aspects, which we will see this, and the airspace above its territory and territorial waters. So first understand territory of India as physical, whatever is the land. After that, there is something which is defined, that is up to some water level, that is also India. Anything below that and anything above that. So the third point, it says airspace above its territory and territorial waters, that is also India. On the second front, how do we understand this? यहाँ पे land है, land से up to 12 nautical miles. 12 nautical miles from the baseline is territorial sea. From there, another 12 miles. Okay, another 12 miles is contiguous zone. And from this 12 miles, you have 200 nautical miles, which is the exclusive economic zones. And the continental shelf is below that. So land, the 12 nautical miles, then contiguous zone, and then the exclusive economic zone. यहाँ तक India का है. So this big line, what you're seeing, up till here, the territory of India is covered. So any transactions you do up till here is covered under the definition of India, and जिसके ऊपर GST लगेगा. Okay. Beyond that, whatever you do is called as a IC. Okay. It is a high C transaction. That's why if you see there are some transactions called as high C transactions, जहाँ पे high C's पे कुछ transactions होता है, which is beyond Indian boundaries. Clear with definition of India? So इसीलिए when you see up to the exclusive economic zones, we have seen Bombay high exploration happens, which is quite far from Bombay, but which is within the reach of exclusive economic zones. So any transactions happening in Bombay high is taxable in India. So now when you have any transactions, when a ship is coming in and you exchange saying that, okay, before arrival of the ship, if I exchange the or do something called as endorsement of the title of the documents. Endorsement matlab transfer before the goods reach. So if I'm getting something, I can transfer. But if I've not got anything, I've not imported any goods, before that itself, if I transfer, that is also permitted, because I am transferring the right to receive the goods. I have to receive the goods. I will say, okay, I have placed the order and it's coming for me. Now, instead of me clearing, you clear it. So, jab this transfer happens of transferring the right to clear the goods, this is a sale. This is called as high C sale. Now, if this high C sale is happening outside India, can it be taxable? It cannot be taxable. That's why high C sale transactions we will see is outside the territory of India, in which tax is not levied. But once it crosses the high seas, then it is leviable to GST because it is within Indian limits. Continental shelf is the place from the land to the exclusive economic zones, which is not on the soil, but below the water. Yes, Arun Mishra.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, it is necessary that the both purchaser and seller both have to in the area of high C, or one can be in the Indian area.
Generally, in high C, neither the seller nor the buyer will be there.
Okay, sir.
Both of them will be in India itself. And they have ordered something from a supplier outside India and he is supplying it here.
Okay.
And
So
when both the parties are here and a transaction is taking place, but the transaction is happening before crossing, which is on a high seat level.
okay, sir. So the good must be in the high C area.
Correct, correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Komal Jain, what is your question?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, as you explained me, as Delhi and Haryana case, this is like Delhi, supplier is in Delhi and the receiver comes to Delhi from Haryana to take the goods. My doubt is if the Delhi person is also a registered person and Haryana person is also a registered person, and he comes to Delhi to just only take the goods and go back to Haryana for furtherance of business. So in this case, both the persons are registered with their own state numbers. So different GST number, will it come in intrastate or interstate, sir?
So the GST number is not the deciding criteria, firstly. So the place of delivery, we have this chapter called place of supply, which is just after this chapter. But to answer your question now, where is the place of delivery? That is the place of supply for goods. So if I'm agreeing that I will deliver to you over here, then the place of supply is in the same state.
Yes, sir.
Correct? Now, if I'm agreeing that I will supply at your state, then the place of supply is your state.
Yes, sir.
So if the Haryana person is coming to Delhi, technically I will have to charge CGST and SGST. But what you are pinpointing is a correct thing, that he is not having registration in Delhi. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So he may not get the credit of Delhi GST and CGST because he is in a different state. My state GST will not give him the credit for his state. Except
Yes, sir.
IGST, I cannot give him any credit. So he will tell, sir, this is my GST number. You mention this GST number and call it as a IGST transaction.
Okay.
So that is how he will get the credit. But if you see, technically the place of supply will be the same state. But to get the credit, what are people doing? People are mentioning the IGST of the other state and charging IGST in such scenario.
Understood, sir. Understood. Thank you, sir.
If goods are exchanged in high C sale, is it taxable? No, it is not taxable. That is the point I'm saying, that this is not taxable. That's why the definition of India theoretical and definition of India pictorial is there for you to say yourself whether high C is in India, it is not in India. So high C sale transaction are also not in India. So its way it is not taxable. Then extent of CGST we understood, it extends to the whole of India. Now extent of a state GST. The extent of your state's GST will extend to the whole of your state. The GST of Jammu and Kashmir will extend to the whole state of Jammu and Kashmir. That will not be applicable even to Ladakh, because Ladakh is a separate union territory. The law of a state will apply only to that state. It will not apply to any bordering state or any other bordering union territory. Each state is different. Each union territory is different. Now, state GST we understood. Similarly, UTGST law extends to the each of these union territory. Now, union territory with legislature, union territory without legislature, this Delhi, Puducherry, and Jammu and Kashmir, these are three union territories. Even though they have union territories, they have legislature also. Matlab, there is a legislative assembly which passes and which appoints a chief minister of their own. It all the administrative part in a union territory is taken by that union territory's chief minister. So it has a legislature. Then it will have its own state GST. So a state includes normally a normal state, and it also includes a union territory with legislature. There are only three such union territories which are having with legislature: Delhi, Puducherry, and Jammu and Kashmir. And union territory, there is one Union Territory Act which extends to all the union territories. There are one Andaman and Nicobar Islands Union Territory, second is Lakshadweep, third is Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. All the four small union territories are now one big union territory. Then fourth is Ladakh and fifth is Chandigarh. These five union territories will have one UTGST law, and UTGST law will apply to them because they do not have a separate legislature. Each of the union territories are considered as a separate. So even though there is one law, you cannot say all these union territories put together is one. No, each of them are separate. The law for them is one. And how CGST extends to the whole of India, similarly, IGST also extends to the whole of India. Now we'll go to the levy provision, which is the main section, which is section 9. Section 9 says that subject to the provisions of subsection 2. So subsection 1 we are reading, subsection 9 subsection 1 says that subject to the provisions of subsection 2, there shall be levied a tax called as the Central Goods and Service Tax on all intrastate supplies of goods or services, or both, except on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption on the value which is determined under section 15 and at such rates not exceeding 20% as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council and collected in such manner as may be prescribed and shall be paid by a taxable person. So this is the charging provision or the levy provision. You could say either of them. Section 9 is the main charging provision which says that where shall a tax be levied? Tax shall be levied on what tax shall be levied? The tax name shall be is called as central goods and service tax. It's levied on all on what transaction? It is levied on all intrastate supplies of what? Of goods or services or both, except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So they're sure that on alcoholic liquor for human consumption, there is no GST. On the value, on what item? On the value which is determined under section 15 and such rates which will be prescribed on the recommendation of the council and shall be collected in a prescribed manner and shall be paid by whom? It shall be paid by taxable person. Like in the earlier discussions we had, levy should have all these ingredients. Who is a taxable person? Who will pay the tax? There should be complete clarity on what value. Everything is present here. So it is constitutionally also satisfied all the conditions of levy. Now there is a mention of subject to the provisions of subsection 2. What are they saying? Provision 2, subsection 2. Subsection 2 is saying that central tax on supply of petroleum crude, high-speed diesel, motor spirit, which is commonly called as petrol, natural gas, and aviation turbine fuel shall be levied with effect from such date as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of the council. So the central tax on these 5 petroleum products, petroleum crude, high-speed diesel, motor spirit, which is called as petrol, natural gas, and aviation turbine fuel, on this GST is postponed to a future date. So they're saying shall be levied with effect from such date as may be notified by the government, which is for the future, which is not yet notified. Okay, so we understood 9192. 91 says that all these ingredients are there, then GST will be levied at such rates and everything is there. And then it says that on these 5 petroleum products, GST will be levied on a future date. Now, if you see, there is a mention over here which says that it shall be on the value which is determined under 15 at such rates not exceeding 20%. So it means the GST rate can be maximum 20%. Now, have you heard of any GST rate of 28% also? Correct. We have heard that luxury products and aerated products, all of that is at 28%. But this law says it should not exceed 20%. So how are they levying 28% then? Supply made to SEZ exempted? Yes, Shweta. So, supply made to SEZ is not exempted. It is zero rated. There is a difference between exemption and zero rated. Supply to SEZ is zero rated. So I order some one-time consuming good and consume it at high C, then enter India. Fine, not be taxable, yes. If a person ordered some goods in India and that goods shipped from another country and came to India, but the payment has been made by the person through electronic mode. Fine, any paid mode of payment doesn't matter. GST nowhere said that this mode of payment you will levy a different thing. So mode of payment doesn't determine whether it is a import or not import. Kushi Gupta is saying, okay, if you add cess, so what is that you're trying to say? Correct. Luxury goods are not basic, so wealthy people can pay. Yes, yes, you loot wealthy people is what you're trying to say. Yes, yes, we will loot it. But I'm saying there is a limit to loot also, no? The law says that you can loot up to the maximum of 20%. Now, how did you get power to collect more taxes? What is there in the law? So we know, no, that any taxes which is levied should be within the boundaries. ऐसा नहीं कि आप लिमिट के बाहर चले जाओ, करेक्ट? तो आपका लिमिट बोला गया है कि 20%, आप इससे ज्यादा कैसे चार्ज कर रहे हो? Yes, Hasi Agarwal, you have given the correct answer. Kiran Kumar, correct answer. What do others think? As per government notification, ठीक है, government notification also should restrict itself. It cannot cross the boundary. That it can go beyond what is there in the law. Law तो हम अभी पढ़ रहे हैं ना 9 में. 9 बोल रहा है कि तुम कितना भी रेट चार्ज करना चार्ज करो भाई, which can be notified, but that rate should not exceed 20%. तो फिर 28% फिर सेस वगैरह आप कैसे चार्ज कर रहे हो? Sinful goods which is bad for health, so for that stop that. ठीक है, sinful हो गया, everything is fine, but can it cross the limits? Divya Brijesh, correct answer. Miss Bhavna is saying amending, the law is amended. So are you saying that we are reading an old law, which is an outdated law, हम latest law नहीं पढ़ रहे हैं? Or are you saying that from 2017 they are doing things illegally? They were supposed to amend and they have not amended. Arun Kumar, correct. Vaikuntha Vasu Maina, you're also right. Okay. So not to create a further suspense into it, the maximum rate it's saying here is कितना है भाई? Maximum is 20%. Now ठीक है, 20% बोल दिया गया है, but what is this 20% saying? At such rates not exceeding 20%. So when I say 28% is levied on luxury goods, that 28% is not completely CGST. Okay, this is called as CGST. Now CGST में maximum 20%, SGST में maximum 20%, दोनों मिलाओगे तो maximum 40%. So you have to read CGST and SGST in parallel. दोनों parallel railway पटरी की तरह, railway track की तरह it goes, wherein if you levy 20%, 5% under CGST, same 5% you have to levy under SGST. So when we say GST rate is 28%, it means 14% is CGST, 14% is SGST. So 14 plus 14 makes it 28, and 14 is the maximum rate, which is below this 20% limit. Okay, and for cess, there is a separate act which is not part of the CGST and SGST. जैसे CGST SGST parallel चलता है, वैसे cess नहीं चलता है. Cess is a separate levy that has its own limit, but CGST has a limit of 20%, SGST has a limit of 20%. That's why 28%, that is 14 plus 14, is possible. Clear? Then 9192 we understand basic levy हो गया. अब 93 says the government may, on the recommendation of the council, by notification. Again, most of the provisions will be through notifications. The government will, on the recommendation of the council by notification, specify the categories of supply of goods or services are both the tax on which shall be paid on reverse charge basis by the recipient. Okay, the government, on the recommendation of the council, shall notify special category of goods, the tax on which shall be paid on reverse charge basis by the recipient of such goods or services, and all the provisions of this act shall apply to such recipient. So 9192 we understood very clearly. Now 93 क्या बोल रहा है? I will explain you with a diagram. See, what is the normal GST payment we have? We have the GST payment when a supplier is there. He is supplying the goods and he is the receiver. Now he is supplying firstly goods or services. On this, he pays the price for the goods and services. When he supplies this, he is adding GST. He will give him the GST, correct? Because how the transaction will actually flow. Step one, supply of goods. In the goods, charge CGST and SGST. He will charge. Then you will pay for the price and pay extra GST also because he's part GST. Now this fellow will collect taxes. So the primary responsibility to collect the taxes is on the supplier. Who is the taxable person in this case? The supplier is a taxable person. So the supplier will collect the taxes on the sale and pay it to the government. That is the normal GST process. This is called as forward charge. Now, in specific scenarios under 9.3, the supplier supplies the goods, receiver pays only for the goods. तो फिर GST कौन charge करेगा? That says the receiver will pay taxes to the government. So in the first scenario, first diagram, supplier pays to the government gets the money. In second scenario, supplier की जगह receiver pays to the government and the government gets the money. Government ultimately gets the money, but the second scenario is instead of supplier paying taxes to the government, the receiver is paying it. And when the receiver pays, it is called as reverse charge mechanism. That is the receiver of the goods or receiver of services paying taxes to the government and not paying to the supplier is called as reverse charge mechanism.
Sir, in this question, given the example.
I will give you example. आप दुकान पे जाते हो, you are the customer. दुकान पे जाके आप क्या खरीदते हो? बिस्कुट खरीदते हो. तो बिस्कुट के ऊपर टैक्स चार्ज करता है वो, आप टैक्स पे करते हो. फिर जो दुकानदार है वो जीएसटी गवर्नमेंट को पे करता है. ठीक है, ये हो गया नॉर्मल जीएसटी पेमेंट जो हर जगह पे लगता है. लेकिन सेकेंड सिनारियो में आएंगे, आप ही हो रिसीवर वहां पे, यहां पर भी आप ही रिसीवर हो. अब यहाँ पे आप क्या कर रहे हो? आप कुछ सर्विस ले रहे हो किसी से. ठीक है, आप रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन हो, आप किसी से सर्विस ले रहे हो और उसके ऊपर जीएसटी आप है ना सप्लायर को नहीं पे करोगे, डायरेक्टली गवर्नमेंट को पे करोगे. कौन सा सर्विस है ऐसा? पॉपुलर सर्विस है लीगल सर्विस. आप लॉयर के पास जाओगे, लॉयर आपको सर्विस प्रोवाइड करेगा. आपको लॉयर को टैक्स नहीं जमा करना है, आपको डायरेक्ट गवर्नमेंट को टैक्स जमा करना है. इसे कहते हैं रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म.
सर, सीए के अंदर भी ऐसा ही होता है क्या?
क्या?
सीए के अंदर भी ऐसे ही होता है, मतलब जैसे लॉयल के सर्विस देता है तो उसके लिए हम सीधा गवर्नमेंट को देते हैं, वैसे ही.
सीए?
हाँ,
नहीं,
सर्विस.
सीए के लिए नहीं होगा. सिर्फ एक लिस्ट है जो हम रिवर्स चार्ज में पढ़ेंगे. अभी थोड़ी देर में हम वो पूरा नोटिफिकेशन निकालेंगे. बट यहाँ पे समझिए, आपको रिवर्स चार्ज समझना था तो इसलिए मैंने एक एग्जाम्पल दिया है.
ओके.
एक सिनारियो दिया, बाकी और सिनारियोस हैं. जो आप लॉयर से कुछ सर्विस लेते हो तो फिर आपको जीएसटी डायरेक्टली जमा करना है. कौन से ऐसे सर्विस है? वो 9.3 बोलता है कि मैं एक नोटिफिकेशन दूंगा, उस नोटिफिकेशन में जो भी सर्विसेज है उसके लिए सर्विस प्रोवाइडर आप टैक्सेस पे नहीं करें, रिसीवर आप पे कीजिए. तो वो बताता है दैट नोटिफिकेशन का पावर आता है सेक्शन 9 सबसेक्शन 3 में.
ओके सर. ओके.
Yes, Divya, what is your question?
सर, जो ये रिवर्स चार्जेस है, ये B2B के लिंक होते हैं कि B2C से भी इसका B2C से भी होगा?
नोटिफिकेशन देख लेंगे हम. नोटिफिकेशन में अलग अलग तरह के रिवर्स चार्ज होते
ओके सर.
हैं. हार्दिक?
Sir, I have one small clarification in 9.1. The clarification I want is, Sir, sir, the alcohol for human consumption is not leviable to GST, but when the council will provide the recommendation to provide to charge tax on it, then it will not exceed 20% for both
No,
central and
no. They have not said that GST Council will recommend. That GST Council recommendation is only for petroleum products.
so, sir, it is also not taxable.
5 petroleum products today it is not taxable. It will be taxable in the future when it will be recommended by the council.
No, sir, I am talking about alcoholic liquor.
Alcoholic liquor for consumption is not chargeable to GST, and GST Council also cannot recommend and bring it because that is not the power given under 9(1).
It is the power with the state.
Neither the state. We are talking about CGST law. So if any amendment in the GST law has to happen, where it will happen?
It will happen in Act.
In the Act, and the Act change power is given to the Parliament.
Parliament.
So the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, they will have to amend it to remove this and tax it on alcoholic liquor for human consumption.
Okay, sir. So no one has power till now to
Correct.
charge tax on. Okay,
Correct.
sir. Thank you, sir.
So under GST they don't have, but under the old laws, alcoholic liquor is already there under the state excise duties power. So under GST they don't have. They have power under the old laws, which is still continuing. Because we are not reading the constitution, we are reading only the GST law. Under GST they don't have power, but under the constitution they have power. That's why state excise duty is still levying. Got it? Yes, Hari Bhushan.
हेलो
Yes, yes.
सर गुड आफ्टरनून सर। मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे हम कुरियर वाले की बिल रिसीव करते हैं तो कुछ कुरियर वाले आरसीएम के अंडर में आते हैं, कुछ नॉन आरसीएम के अंडर में आते हैं। तो सर ये थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन, इसको जरा क्लियर करिए कि ऐसा क्यों ऐसा होगा।
ठीक है, हम आरसीएम का नोटिफिकेशन देखेंगे तब आपको क्लैरिटी मिलेगा, तब आप ये रेलेवेंट क्वेश्चन पूछिएगा फिर से, ताकि हम पहले लॉ पढ़ेंगे तो हमको आंसर भी समझ में आए।
हाँ, मैं आईटीसी में जीएसटी पोर्टल पे देखा हूँ, तो जीएसटी पोर्टल पर कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जो आरसीएम के लिए लाइबल होते हैं, जो आईटीसी हम नहीं ले सकते हैं, और कुछ ऐसे होते हैं जो आईटीसी हमें प्रोवाइड करते हैं। तो ये थोड़ा सा मेरे कंफ्यूजन है कि दोनों के बीच में ऐसा क्यों ऐसा होगा।
तो वो हम नोटिफिकेशन देखेंगे तो आपको क्लैरिटी मिलेगा।
ओके, थैंक यू।
अरुण मिश्रा।
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I want to ask that जो reverse GST है, sir, it will be considered as direct tax or indirect tax?
We are only talking about GST, so it is a indirect tax only. It is a GST itself. Instead of supplier paying, receiver paying, it is still continuing to be called as GST only, and GST is a indirect tax.
Okay, but sir, here the receiver is already directly paying to the government.
Correct. But he will get the credit of it. Like income tax, when you pay, you
Yes,
pay
sir.
to the government, right? You don't get it back unless you have TDS, which is deducted more than your income, then you get a refund. But generally, income tax, what you pay, you don't get it back.
Yes.
But reverse charge, whatever you pay, you get it back. So it's still an indirect tax. Instead of supplier paying it, receiver is paying that tax.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Vinuta.
Hi. Bye. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, reverse charge means, sir? Who is paid to reverse charge, sir?
You understood this slide?
No, sir.
This slide?
No, sir. Not getting.
हिंदी में समझाऊं?
हाँ, yes, sir.
तो जब सप्लायर की जगह रिसीवर पे करता है, उसे कहते हैं रिवर्स।
Okay, sir.
तो रिवर्स चार्ज में रिसीवर पे करता है, सप्लायर पे नहीं करता है।
सप्लायर नहीं पे करते सर?
करेक्ट, सप्लायर पे नहीं करता है। इवन दो सप्लायर रजिस्टर्ड भी है, फिर भी वो पे नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि उसको बोल दिया गया है कि तुम इस नोटिफिकेशन के अंदर आते हो। रिवर्स चार्ज का एक स्पेशल नोटिफिकेशन, उस नोटिफिकेशन के अंदर रजिस्टर्ड हो, फिर भी तुमको जीएसटी चार्ज नहीं करना।
सर रिवर्स चार्ज इज applicable only transportation
That
or
notification
business?
we will see the
As per
notification.
notifications.
15-20 people are there who are there, जो उस
Okay.
नोटिफिकेशन के अंदर है, that is liable to reverse charge.
Okay sir.
Komal Jain,
Sir,
what is
sir, this reverse charge amount is sir paid, then after we get sir or not?
we will get it. We will get, once you pay it, you can get the credit of that.
Credit of this, sir. Sir means GST portal in credited.
Yes, it will get credit.
Okay sir. Okay sir.
Yes, Hari Bhushan Thakur, Praveen you. ठीक है.
Sir.
Sir?
Yes, one person.
Sir, Haribhushan already asked the question. Haribhushan also asked the question, sir.
Yes, please tell me.
हेलो.
Yes.
सर जैसे कि हम लोग डायरेक्ट में पढ़े थे, रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के पास लिमिट, डायरेक्ट में पढ़े थे कि रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के पास लिमिट होता है 10 लाख 20 लाख का. अगर वो इतना क्रॉस करेगा तभी वो जीएसटी पे करेगा. रिवर्स में लिमिट है क्या?
नहीं, रिवर्स में लिमिट एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. रिवर्स में विदाउट जीरो ट्रांजैक्शन है, कुछ भी सप्लाई नहीं कर रहा है, उसने अभी बिजनेस खोला है, लेकिन वो रिवर्स चार्ज के नोटिफिकेशन में आ गया है, तो उसे इमीडिएटली टैक्स पे करना पड़ेगा. उसका लिमिट के लिए वेट नहीं करना पड़ेगा.
ओके, थैंक यू सर.
Sir, actually मेरा एक doubt है. Like you said, reverse charges, supplier will not pay to the government and receiver will pay to the government, which means that if I am the receiver of the services which the lawyer has provided, so now I am an unregistered person. So how I will pay the tax to the government, sir, and how will I take back the facility of ITC?
So if you are falling under the notification and the notification is saying that you have to pay it, then you will have to register and pay it.
Okay.
And once you
unregistered
register, then you can claim the credit as well.
Okay, sir. Okay, for claiming.
Yes.
Okay, unregistered person cannot even pay to the government.
Correct.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Last question, Bhavna Garg.
Sir, while in case of petroleum, when notification come from the government side, then we will pay GST.
Correct.
Sir, now we pay GST in any other मतलब इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस में कोई किसी और फॉर्म में ओल्ड रिजीम के अंदर सर जीएसटी पे करते हैं क्या अभी पेट्रोलियम पे?
आप फर्स्ट क्लास
रिकॉर्डिंग
देखिए, आपको क्लैरिटी मिल जाए.
हेलो.
हाँ, आप फर्स्ट क्लास में हमने जो डिस्कस किया है ना, आपको फिर से सुनना पड़ेगा, तब आपको क्लैरिटी मिलेगा. Okay, so now let's proceed. 9.1, 9.2 we understood, and then we understood 9.3 also, which is on reverse charge. Now 9.3 के लिए there are two notifications. One is notification number 4 of 2017. Now this 4 of 2017 gives a list of goods on which the receiver will have to pay the GST if he buys those goods. Similarly, if he avails any services, there is a notification number called as notification number 13 of 2017. So if you avail any services which is mentioned in this notification number 13 of 2017, you have to pay under reverse charge mechanism. So that is either irrespective of whether the supplier is registered or unregistered. If you fall under those notification, you have to pay reverse charge. Now, there is next a section called 9.4, which says that the government may, on the recommendation of the council, by notification, specify a class of registered person. It will specify a class of registered person who shall, in respect of supply of specified category of goods, are both received from an unregistered person. Who, when a class of registered person is receiving any services from an unregistered supplier, then the receiver shall pay the tax on reverse charge basis as a recipient of such supply of goods, and all the provisions of Act apply to the recipient as if he is a person liable for paying the tax. So generally a taxable person pays, but 9.4 says that if you are under a specified class, what is this class? Again will be notified. If you are under the specified class, and if you are buying anything from or obtaining any goods or services from a unregistered person, unregistered supplier, then you will have to pay reverse charge. So 9.3 also talks about reverse charge. 9.4 also talks about reverse charge. ये क्या है? So 9.3 is separate, 9.4 is separate. 9.3 is when you receive from specified persons, आपको reverse charge pay करना है. 9.4 is when you receive from an unregistered person, but not everybody. If you are falling under that specified class of registered person, मतलब category of registered person, then only you have to pay reverse charge under 9.4. Which means what? Under 9.4, if the supplier is a registered supplier, then reverse charge will not apply, then regular charge will apply. But if 9.4 mein, if you are buying from an unregistered person, then you have to pay reverse charge. Is also RCM also same rate of tax? Yes. Rate of tax will be same. If the supplier pays it, supplier pays it. If the receiver pays it, it will pay the same rate what the supplier would have paid it. Clear? 9.3, 9.4. 9.4 is not there for your syllabus. 9.3 is there for your syllabus, and not the goods. The section 4 of 2017 is not there for you. Section 13 of 2017 is there. We will understand that section once we understand this basics. We'll go to that notification and we'll identify what are those services on which me as a receiver, I have to pay reverse charge. Then there is another category called as 9.5, which says the government, on the recommendation of council, again will by notification specify categories of services, the tax on intrastate supplies of which shall be paid by the electronic commerce operator, e-commerce operator, Ola, right? Services जो आप लेते हो generally, specified category of services बोल रहे हैं, specified category of services, not goods, क्योंकि goods आ गया तो फिर Amazon और Flipkart को भी पे करना पड़ेगा. So Amazon or Flipkart, for supply of goods, they will not get covered under this. All other e-commerces which are notified, they, if they are providing services and they are receiving money from the customer, they will pay GST on behalf of the suppliers. जैसे आप ऊबर में जाते हो, टैक्सी ड्राइवर आपसे टैक्स कलेक्ट करता है, वो कलेक्ट करके रिटर्न कब फाइल कर गया, वो तो कार चलाने में बिजी है, करेक्ट? तो उसका टैक्सेस जो है ये ऊबर कलेक्ट करेगा और ऊबर पे करेगा टैक्स ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ द सप्लायर. तो ऊबर क्या हो गया? ई कॉमर्स. तो ई कॉमर्स कंपनी का लायबिलिटी इज देयर अंडर 9.5. Explain 9.4 again. 9.4 says if you are receiving services from, if you are a specified category of person, जैसे specified category में कहा गया कि builder, तो builder is receiving any services from a unregistered person, तो फिर उसे reverse charge में GST pay करना पड़ेगा. An office clerk, receptionist, lift guard, watchman, a lot of more employees who is unregistered, so I have to pay for all GST. Are you under that specified category of person? If you are, then you have to pay. If you are not, then you don't have to pay. तो अगर आपका यू डोंट हैव टू सी कि 9(4) में अनरजिस्टर्ड बोल दिया तो जो भी परचेज करूंगा मैं आज सबके ऊपर जीएसटी पे करूंगा। उसमें डुअल कंडीशन है दैट यू हैव टू बी अ स्पेसिफाइड कैटेगरी ऑफ पर्सन एंड देन ओनली, एंड इफ यू आर बाइंग फ्रॉम अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन तब ही आपको पे करना है। Reverse charge credit can be claimed to claim in which credit is available, like in CGST. अगर आप supplier in the same in your state, you and place of supply is in your state, you will pay reverse charge of CGST and SGST at the same rate. And if your supplier is outside the state, you are in a different state, location of supplier and place of supply, that logic will apply same. तो अगर कुछ exception होता तो मैं उधर ही बता देता। There are no exceptions even under forward charge and under reverse charge, दोनों जगह पे where the supplier, location of supplier and place of supply, two criterias कहाँ पे है, that will decide your GST payable. Hotels also e-commerce service providers paying, correct? Yes. Who is covered? 9(4) में कौन covered है? सिर्फ 9(4) में क्लास ऑफ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन में सिर्फ बिल्डर और डेवलपर जो है वो ही कवर्ड है। तो इसका मतलब एनी रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन जो कुछ भी परचेज करता है फ्रॉम अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, उसको हर सप्लाई पे उसे रिवर्स चार्ज पे करने की जरूरत नहीं है। अगर कुछ कैटेगरी ऑफ गुड्स 9(3) में है तभी उसको रिवर्स चार्ज पे करना है। Fifth point, who is to pay? Fifth point, e-commerce operator has to pay. ठीक है, we'll take a break here for 10 minutes and we'll get back and proceed further. So we understood forward charge, reverse charge, three types of reverse charge. One is reverse charge on specified services, which is under 9.3, and reverse charge on specified category of person and received from an unregistered person, 9.4, and then 9.5, which is on e-commerce operators. We'll discuss the notification. Before that, some basic understandings. The rates of GSTs are different rates of GSTs being charged. GST is levied on all intrastate supplies of goods or services, and there are similar provisions in each state. So SGST is also levied on all intrastate provisions. Okay, then interstate supplies, IGST is levied, and with the value is determined under section 15. So section 15 is the valuation for all values. Whether you charge CGST and SGST, the base will be a value. That value is coming from section 15. And IGST is a summation of CGST and SGST. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is outside the purview of GST. GST is not levied on the 5 petroleum products, which will be recommended by the GST Council on a future date. This we understood: forward charge, reverse charge. Reverse charge, again, what we have dealt, 9.3, 9.4. Similarly, 5.3, 5.4. 9.3, 9.4 will be under the CGST, SGST Act, and 5.3, 5.4 will be under the IGST Act. So 9.3 or 9.4 is on supply of specified category of goods or services, and 9.4 and 5.4 is on supply of specified category of goods or services made by an unregistered supplier to a specified class of person. So हमने discuss कर दिया है. So we have discussed all of this. It is very much clear now कि what kind of RCM you will pay on what transaction. Correct? What is this RCM transaction which is under 9.3? 9.3, which is that notification number 4 of 17 में क्या क्या आता है? It gets covered as cashew nuts, BD wrapper leaves, tobacco leaves. So if you see all of this goods, ध्यान से आप इसको देखोगे, so then these are all those category of goods which is generally supplied by a agriculturist. जो cashew nuts कौन करेगा? Agriculturist. Now agriculturist will be supplying other goods also, but on other goods nothing will come under reverse charge, but cashew nuts will come because the government saw that on these goods there is of huge value and there is lot of revenue leakage, तो उसको उन्होंने reverse charge में डाल दिया है. Tobacco leaves, raw cotton, lot free by state government, silk yarn, as used vehicles, these things. But ये जो है, this portion is not for your syllabus, this is only for your reference. So notification number 4 of 17 gives this category of goods on which reverse charge has to be paid. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? अगर a registered person buys cashew nuts from a farmer, तो कौन tax pay करेगा? Supplier is a farmer, receiver is a factory. ठीक है? क्योंकि cashews को correct करके वो cashews को processing करेगा. So supplier is a farmer and receiver is a factory. Who will pay GST? Factory will pay GST. Tejaswini says, what are others saying? What are you telling, Arun Mishra?
Sir, factory will pay. Sir,
Factory.
I am unable to also to send the query, sir. From where do I send the query?
Board of Studies portal में आप student registration कीजिए, then you'll be able to send it.
Sir, from which option will I go for there?
I think students will be able to help you.
Okay, sir.
You have Board of Studies live learning classes, no? There you'll have to log in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So everybody is fine now. Understood कि जब भी 9.3 category में है, then the factory will have to pay because he is the receiver and he will pay under reverse charge. Here. Good. Now for supply of service, it is there in your syllabus. So this you cannot skip. Supply of services is taxable under reverse charge under notification number 13 of 2017 CTR. CTR matlab central tax rate and non-rate. So there are two series of notifications which ran, which is impacting the GST rate will be called as central tax rate notifications, and those which do not impact the rates are called as just central tax notifications. Now, this notification number 13 of 2017 was dated 20th June and amendments have been happening. So, humko amended notification is what will be relevant for us. So now, a lot of people are asking questions that on what RCM will come, and what RCM will not come. So that we will discuss here. We'll go to the actual notification and understand this. One moment. This is the notification number 13 of 2017, which says who is the supplier of service, what is the category of service, who is the supplier, and who is the recipient. Okay, and whichever services are mentioned there, it will be paid by the recipient itself. So हमको क्या देखना है? First देखना है कि category of service क्या है, supplier कौन है. अगर supplier वो है तो receiver पे करेगा, अगर supplier वो नहीं है तो receiver नहीं पे करेगा, और receiver भी वो है जो mention किया है तभी होगा. Which means when they say this notification is applicable on reverse charge, first we'll have to see the category of service. Then we will have to see who is the supplier. Is the supplier that person which is mentioned? And who is the receiver? If the receiver is following under a specific category, then is the receiver liable to pay reverse charge. If the receiver is not the one which is here, then he will not pay. Like example, when they see a business entity. So if it is a non-business entity and the category of service is receiving, still he will not pay reverse charge, because what is specifically mentioned, only that person will pay reverse charge. Doesn't mean that all registered person will have to pay, because receiver is specifically mentioned separately for each services. Okay. So first, we will not go in the chronological order what is there under the notification, because अपने को जो relevant है, we will understand that first, and then we will go to the next ones. Ms. Vandana, yes, your response is coming to me, but your query has not yet come. Okay. So we'll understand the categories of reverse charge. First is a service which is provided by an individual advocate, including, this is serial number 2, so serial number 1 ही आता है, लेकिन हम वो पढ़ेंगे जो हमारे लिए relevant है. Service which is supplied by an individual advocate, including a senior advocate, or any services provided by an individual advocate or a senior advocate or a firm of advocates, directly, indirectly. This is the category of service. And what is legal service is also defined. Legal service means any service provided in relation to advice, consultancy, or assistance in any branch of law in any manner, and includes representational services before any court, tribunal or authority. So ये जो service provide करते हैं, who कौन provide करते हैं? अगर individual advocate, senior advocate और firm of advocates provide करते हैं, किसको? किसी business entity को, and this business entity is located in taxable territory, तो फिर receiver को pay करना पड़ेगा. So somebody was asking, sir, मैं legal service किसी से लेता हूँ, मैं unregistered हूँ, तो मुझे pay करना पड़ेगा. आप रिसीवर हो, आप बिजनेस एंटिटी हो, करेक्ट? आप बिजनेस एंटिटी हो, आप रजिस्टर्ड नहीं हो, फिर भी आपको पे करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज द रिसिपिएंट ऑफ सर्विस इज मेंशन्ड एज अ बिजनेस एंटिटी. दे हैव नॉट मेंशन्ड अ रजिस्टर्ड एंटिटी. रजिस्टर्ड एंटिटी होता तो आप बच जाते कि its liability is only on a registered person, but they have not said it is the recipient is should be a registered person. They've said it is a business entity. Business तो हर कोई करता है, जो whoever does business, and if he's taking service from a lawyer, then he has to pay. Suppose एक पर्सनल केस है, नॉन बिजनेस एंटिटी है, जो पर्सनल केस में, सपोज जब मैरिज के केस में एक लॉयर को अपॉइंट करता है, बोलता है कि मेरा मैरिज रजिस्ट्रेशन कर लो, सो दैट इज नॉट अ बिजनेस एंटिटी, तब वो रिवर्स चार्ज पे नहीं करेगा, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट अ बिजनेस एंटिटी. क्लियरली डिफरेंशिएट करना पड़ेगा कौन है रिसिपिएंट. इस केस में रिसिपिएंट है बिजनेस एंटिटी, तो उसे अगर रजिस्टर्ड है तो नो प्रॉब्लम, ही इज ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर्ड, वो रिवर्स चार्ज पे करेगा. अगर रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है तो वो रजिस्टर करके पे करेगा. ठीक है? So first category says if you take any services from an advocate, if you're unregistered, still you will have to pay it. How will I pay? We have answered that you have to register and pay it. Yeah. Yes, Kumaresan. Second is services by an arbitral tribunal. Similar to an advocate, services provided by an arbitral tribunal has to be paid by the recipient. The recipient will be any business entity. Third category is services provided by way of sponsorship to any body, corporate, or partnership firm. Then anybody who gives sponsorship, the recipient, that is the body, corporate, or partnership firm located in a taxable territory, will have to pay reverse charge. Okay, now let's take an example. Services provided by way of sponsorship. When we say, understand, whenever I ask you a question, this will all be questions which will come up for practical application, and this could come in small kind of a case study for you. So the reason why I'm giving you so many examples over here is to give you an oversight that what will happen practically. One is reading it theoretically and applying it. So by the time we apply it, the questions come in between. The question paper will come in between, correct? So I'm trying to give you those scenarios which will help you to analyze in your examination. So a company is sponsoring a cricket match. Okay. Now, when a company is sponsoring a cricket match, this service says services provided by way of sponsorship to any body, corporate, or partnership firm. Now, the company who is sponsoring is a body corporate, it's a company. It's sponsoring a cricket match. When it sponsors it, you get all the marketing. That's fine. That's why it is sponsoring. In that scenario, who is the service provider? Who is the service receiver? And of course, my question would be, who will pay the reverse charge on such sponsorship? Come on. Who will pay? Or if you're not able to understand, you could tell so that we don't have to wait. We can continue. I'll explain this, then we could continue. Yes, 1 plus. Okay. Avinash. Komal Jain.
So the cricket team will pay this because they are the one who are receiving the benefit. So they will be paying this RCM.
Okay. Who is the service provider? Who is the service receiver?
Hello, sir.
But the team will be the service provider.
Okay.
As the जो पर्सन वो जो स्पॉन्सरशिप दे रहा है वो कैश दे रहा है उसके बिहार में जो टीम है उसका जो एडवर्टाइजमेंट करेगी.
ओके. तो जो टीम है वो सर्विस प्रोवाइडर है. ठीक है.
ओके सर. जी सर.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you please, in brief, once again repeat the question? There was a loss in connectivity. In brief.
So a company is providing sponsorship service for a cricket match.
Yes, sir.
In this scenario, considering the reverse charge, what you have in your screen, wherein service is provided by way of sponsorship to any body, corporate, or firm. In this case, who is the service provider and service receiver, and who will pay the RCM? Who will pay the reverse charge?
Sir, the company is providing the services for the cricket match. So they are the supplier of the services. But in return also they are getting services like marketing, you said. So sir, in this case scenario, it will be reversed, that they will be the recipient and the cricket team will be the supplier and the company will pay tax.
Okay. Right. So one thing, yes, please tell me.
Yeah, like what similarly Hardik said, it will be same, sir. But also in India, we don't consider GST for cricket. The amount which the title amount or the fees, we don't consider it as a I can explain, like it is not an entertainment thing, so we'll not have any entertainment tax or GST. So the company will be liable to pay the GST.
There is IPL and all, so much crores of money they're minting, that is GST free, huh?
Yes, sir, it is GST free, sir.
Okay.
It is not considered as what I said, it is also considered as an entertainment purpose, sir. Previously, we had a F1 car track in Mumbai, I guess, I'm not sure. It is in North India. Previously, it was like similar to IPL, but after that, around in year 2009 or 10, they have changed it as entertainment, so it was highly heavy tax. So F1 India, actually, they have dismantled there since they cannot be able to pay the GST thing. It was too high. So they stopped the sports in India.
So you're telling for F1 GST is there, but for cricket
Yeah,
GST?
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Initially, it was not there, but in the year 2009 or 10, they have levied entertainment tax. So they cannot able to process it.
Before
Like high cost.
After GST came, entertainment tax is not there. So now if we do F1, GST will not be there, no?
Still they didn't change those things, sir. It is not coming under
Tax
this.
is not there. Entertainment tax is dead after GST.
Yes, but they didn't give any clarification, Government of India. That's why F1 is not still available. But we have the professional F1 race track in India. It is abandoned, like a booth bangla.
Last month only I went to Chennai. Their F1 track was
That is
there.
F4, sir. That is F4, sir.
Okay.
it is initiative by Tamil Nadu government. That is F4 track. But F1 is a professional track. It need millions of dollars to maintain all those things. We have a track in, I'm not sure it is in Mumbai or Delhi, but there is a track, sir.
Yes, Sai Kiran.
Sir, suppose for IPL cricket, Sunrisers are the cricket team. Sunrisers are the cricket team sponsoring. Players are the service providers, sir. Sunrisers team is receiving the service from the cricket player. So Sunrisers is paying the GST under reverse charge mechanism, sir.
We are answering different question. My question is very different. My question is that if the company is providing sponsorship, who is the service provider, who is the service receiver, and who will pay reverse charge? Simple question, sir. Okay, so one thing you have to note is 99% or generally the situation is the person who receives the consideration is the person who is provided the service, and the person who pays the consideration is the service receiver. Okay, that's how the flow will match. Otherwise, you will not know who is the service provider, who is the service receiver. So the person who pays the money, he is receiving the service, and the person who is receiving the money, he is providing the service. Exchange, correct? It should be mutatis mutandis, and it should be quid pro quo, that you are paying something to get something. Correct? So in this case, from this basic understanding, if we see the transaction, we will get to know everything. In case of sponsorship, the company is providing sponsorship. So they are paying money, which means what? They are receiving some service. That's where they are paying. What are they receiving? They are receiving marketing services. One big banner even also if they put, that is good enough for them to sponsor it. So they are receiving some service. That's where they are providing the service. And who is the receiver? That cricket organizer who is receiving the sponsorship, he is providing the service. So when we say in this example, from this example, if we say that any sponsorship is provided, services provided by way of sponsorship. So who is the provider? That company is the provider. So company is the receiver. Sorry, company is paying sponsorship. So it is not providing sponsorship. It is making payment for the sponsorship. The provider is the organizer. So service provided by way of sponsorship provided by that company, by that cricket association to a body corporate. In that case, that person can be any person. It's not necessary that he has to be a firm or a company or anything. He can be any person. He can be registered, unregistered, organized, unorganized, association of individual, body of person, anybody. That's why I mentioned any person. So if any person is providing services to me, who is me? The body, corporate, or a partnership firm located in a taxable territory, then the recipient, this recipient, the body corporate or the firm will have to pay GST under reverse charge. So in this scenario, the instances of that sports company not paying, cricket is outside GST, all of that is not counted. Nowhere they have said that for any sponsorship except cricket you have to pay. Nothing like that. So any kind of sponsorship, what you're paying, on that GST will be applicable to the receiver. Now, if this receiver is a proprietor, if a proprietorship firm makes payment for the sponsorship for a same cricket match, then reverse charge will come or no? It will come. Bhavya Nayak, you explained the first part correctly, where the cricket team is the service provider, service receiver is a company. In RCM, company will pay the tax. But in now second scenario, you're saying still RCM will come. Again, analyze how we have analyzed the first part. Kushi Gupta, you said cricket team is the receiver. Is cricket team the receiver? Proprietorship will pay. Body corporate. So if Vaikunta Vasu, are you trying to say it is applicable or not applicable? Not on business entity. Here, it is not a question of business entity. In case of sponsorship, you're getting confused. So arbitral is business entity. In case of a sponsorship, it is not business entity. There is a difference. It says body corporate, मतलब company, LLP, उसे कहते हैं body corporate. A body corporate or a partnership firm अगर receiver है, तब reverse charge लगेगा. If it's a proprietorship, it is not getting covered under receiver. So on that, the proprietor will not pay reverse charge. The company will pay, but this proprietor will not pay reverse charge.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, this means that if I will get any sponsorship because it is written any person.
Yes.
And I provide my services to any body corporate, which includes foreign company as well. Because body corporate meaning includes foreign company or a partnership firm. Then it will be covered under GST.
Correct.
And sir, provided for means that I am providing services to them of marketing and all.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Is it correct, sir?
Yes, you are right.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so understand the distinction between any business entity and any body corporate. There is a difference between both. Next category of service is more complicated, but I feel that you need to have clarity till here. So यहाँ तक clarity है. If you say yes, then we'll proceed further. If registered proprietary concern receives sponsorship, so it is not who receives the sponsorship. Okay, if a registered proprietary concern receives sponsorship, I will say the question is incomplete because who is providing the sponsorship? That is important. Here you have said receiver of sponsorship, but we need receiver of services. Okay. Okay. Next is services supplied by the central government, state government, union territory. So any services supplied by the government, excluding renting of immovable property, services specified below, which is services of Department of Post, services in relation to aircraft, transportation of goods or passengers. On these three services and this fourth services, service, when the service provider is a central government, state government or union territory and the receiver is a business entity, then business entity will pay the reverse charge. मतलब renting of immovable property एक बार हटा दीजिए क्योंकि वो नीचे आएगा. On other three services, postal department के services, any services provided by the airport authorities of India or by the ports or services provided by the transportation of goods or passengers, on this three things the service provider only will pay. So आप postal department में जाओगे तो postal department only will charge you for the parcel services and everything when they are providing any services. That's a service of a government. Now government service कर रहा है तो आपको रिवर्स चार्ज में पे करने की जरूरत नहीं है in case of these three services: postal, airport authorities and transportation of goods. Any other services received from the government, right, on that you will have to pay reverse charge. Who will have to pay? A business entity will have to pay. Okay. On renting it says that renting नीचे आया है 5A में, it says that service supplied by the central government, state government, union territory or local authority by way of renting will be liable when it is provided to a registered person. तो हमने देखा ना फर्स्ट कैटेगरी में बिजनेस एंटिटी था और corporate था, body corporate. Here it is registered person. So if a registered person pays any rent to the government, then it will have to pay reverse charge. Of course यहाँ पे residential rent नहीं आएगा because residential rent is exempted. This will be commercial property. कुछ shops or anything, shops है generally या go down government provide करती है. On that, government will only collect the rent. They will not pay GST. The person, if he is registered, he will pay. If he is not registered, he will not pay. Neither government will pay. वो exempt हो जाएगा. Clear? Government services. Railways, RCM नहीं. Railways will not come under RCM. Sir. Okay. Next. Services by way of renting of residential dwelling to a registered person. Renting of residential dwelling exempted generally hai when it is supplied to an unregistered person. But services by way of renting of residential dwelling to a registered person will be liable to RCM when it is supplied by any person. Who is the receiver? He is a registered person. So registered person agar renting of residential dwelling leta hai, then he will have to pay reverse charge. This is a new amendment, so you have to be very careful with this. Renting of residential dwelling to a registered person. Now, somebody was asking that whether it is usage or thing, that is not specifically mentioned. It just says if you are renting a residential dwelling and you are a registered person, then you will have to pay reverse charge on the rental portion. Clear hai? Services supplied by a director of a company or a body corporate to the said company or body corporate. When services are provided by a company or body corporate, then supplier of service कौन है? Director. Director जब भी service provide करता है company को, तब company pay करेंगे reverse charge पे. ठीक है? So director sitting fees, director charging any professional fees, on that the company will pay under reverse charge basis. Security service when it is security service are supplied by any person other than a body corporate. मतलब जो security service company है वो company नहीं है. अगर individual है, proprietorship है, partnership है, then when they provide to a registered person, then the registered person will have to pay. If that security is run by a company, private limited company, then or a public limited company, then that company itself will pay under forward charge. लेकिन अनऑर्गेनाइज सेक्टर जनरली इफ यू सी आरसीएम ये कौन से कैटेगरीज में आ रहे हैं, जो भी अनऑर्गेनाइज कैटेगरी है उसको टैक्स से बचना नहीं चाहिए, सो दैट ट्राइंग टू कवर दोस सिनेरियोस. So a person other than a body corporate providing service to a registered person located in a taxable territory, मुझे RCM पे करना पड़ेगा. Provided nothing this apply to the department, अगर गवर्नमेंट को प्रोवाइड करते हैं तब नहीं अप्लाई होगा. But if it is provided to a tax registered person, then the registered person will have to pay it.
Sir, in this 14 point, these security services are in relation to our residential securities. No, sir, corporate securities.
Corporate securities.
Like security guards and all.
Correct.
And sir, if the person is registered to whom I am providing any service, then he has to pay GST.
If you are a
I am unregistered person, I am providing the services of security guard, then the registered person will pay GST to the government in RCM. Correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay, sir.
But if the same security guard will not be an individual, it will generally be run by a contractor. Now that contractor, if he's formed a company and he's providing services from the company, then the company only will pay the GST. The registered person receiving will not pay.
Sir, but in this it is written other than body corporate.
Correct. So other than body corporate. If you are a body corporate, then you will pay
the
forward
body
charge.
corporate includes a company.
Yes, body corporate includes a company.
So, sir, if I am a company and I am providing any services, so then also it should be not taxable under FCM. It should be under RCM only.
No, it should not be, because it says person other than a body corporate. So service provider is other than a body corporate.
Okay, हाँ, ठीक है sir. Excluding body corporate.
Correct.
Okay,
if
sir.
it is excluding, then it will be liable. If it is a body corporate, then this clause will not apply to you. You will pay under forward charge.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, this is one. Then we proceed to next other services, which is GTA services. GTA will discuss in detail but we'll understand this, that supply of services by a GTA in respect of transportation of goods by road to specified recipients. Who is the specified recipients? Any factory which is registered under the Factories Act, that is first category. Any society registered under Societies Act. Any cooperative society established by any law, by or under any law. Any person registered under the GST Act. Any body corporate, any partnership firm, and any casual taxable person. So these are the recipient who are called as specified recipients. So if anybody is one of these specified recipients, then the specified recipient will have to pay the GST under RCM for goods transport agency services. Recipient of GTA service is a person who pays or is liable to pay the freight. This is very important. Who decide who is the recipient? Recipient of GTA service is the person who pays or is liable to pay the freight for the transportation of goods by road in goods carriage located in a taxable territory. So you understand, in case of a GTA, who is the service provider? GTA is the service provider. Now, when GTA provides services to a recipient, now who is the recipient? Reliance in Mumbai has transported goods to its dealer Reddington in Karnataka. Now, GTA is appointed. Now, when GTA is appointed at Mumbai by Reliance, Mumbai Reliance is saying, I will appoint you, but payment I will not do because I don't trust this Reddington person whether he will pay me only. What will I pay you? So you go deliver the goods and collect your money from Reddington. Okay. So in this scenario, who is the service recipient? Reddington is the service recipient, the person who is paying the money, correct? The person recipient of GTA service is the person who pays or is liable to pay freight for transportation of goods. So, because service provider and service receiver, one of them may agree, saying that we will transport it, but you have to pay, is what the supplier will say. Recipient will say, no, you have to pay. So, they may enter into an agreement, but who pays to the GTA is the service recipient. Now, if that recipient is one of those 7 categories, then he will have to pay reverse charge. So we'll see how does this work. Because GTA is a little complicated topic, wherein the recipient can be as one of those specified categories, but the provider, that is a GTA, has an option to pay tax under reverse charge, that the recipient only will pay under reverse charge, or the supplier can also pay the GTA under reverse charge. Okay, so we'll finish this, then we'll go to that so that we are clear. Then provided nothing contained in this entry shall apply to any service provided to a government entity. So any GTA providing services to a government entity, reverse charge will not be paid by the government. Services by of renting of any motor vehicle designed to carry passengers where the cost of fuel is included. Then again, if the recipient is a body corporate, then it will be applicable. Both of this, we'll understand this. So first is a GTA service. As I said, GTA as an option to pay taxes or not pay taxes. If he pays taxes, receiver will not pay. So there will not be any taxation which will be levied 2 times. That will not happen. So once the service provider pays this, then the receiver will not pay. So if the GTA wants to pay the taxes, he has 2 options. One is pay at higher rate and claim all the input tax credit, or pay a lower rate, don't claim the credit. Correct? Because अगर वो credit भी मिल रहा है और pay भी कर रहा है, मतलब he will offset this, so your rate will be higher, of course. And if you're not claiming any input, that tax has already come to the government. Now you pay this small amount. Okay, so the higher rate is 12%, lower rate is 5%. So if a GTA is providing any taxable service and they're paying GST, they will pay at 12% with full ITC they will take, or they will pay GST at 5% without ITC. Now, when they pay GST at 12% and take full ITC, if they're providing to a registered person, then of course it will be under forward charge, because 12% if they're paying, it will always be under forward charge. Okay, and if they're providing services to an unregistered person, then we'll have to see whether they are specified person, the 7 category of people they have said. If they're providing services to those notified person, then GST will be payable under forward charge. If they are making supplies to anybody other than those category of persons, then no GST. Because the law is in such a manner that only on those specified category of persons, GST will apply. If you're providing to anybody else, it will be exempt. And then if you're paying tax at 5%, so this person has an option to pay under forward charge or reverse charge. So if he is paying under forward charge, then it will be at 12%. If he's paying at 5%, then also if payment of GST at 5% without ITC to a registered person, then it will be under reverse charge applicable, and recipient who will pay freight will be liable to pay GST. And to an unregistered person, to notified person located in a taxable territory, reverse charge applicable, and notified person is liable to pay GST. And if it is to others, it is exempted. So what we are trying to say is supplier has an option. If he's a registered GTA, he has an option to pay 12% and 5%. Both will be under forward charge. But if it is under reverse charge, it will always be 5%. Clear here? Again, different slide for you to depict it. If there's a service provider and service recipient is one of those 7 categories, and then it will be RCM at 5% or forward charge at 12%, right? And the supplier can pay 12 or 5, but the recipient, if he has to pay under reverse charge, it will always be at 5% itself. And when it's providing to any other person, then it will be exempted. Now, to understand this recipient, I have a small exercise. At this point of time, I think it will be good to do an exercise so that you understand the scenarios. I will show you certain examples. Now you tell me who will pay GST under RCM. Scenario 1 we will take. Service provider is a GTA. Fine. Okay. Service provider is a GTA. Consignor is a company, and consignee is a partnership firm. A company is registered or unregistered, could be both. Partnership firm could be registered or unregistered. The person liable to pay freight, among them that decide that this company will pay the freight. So in this case, who is the person liable to pay GST? So normal tax pay करते हैं वैकुंठ वासु, that is called as forward charge. So normal service provider pay करता है, उसे कहते हैं forward charge. नहीं, इस केस में GTA नहीं है, because GTA ऑप्ट ही नहीं कर रहा है. Had GTA opted, तो फिर हमको दोनों के बीच में झगड़ा ही नहीं है. GTA is not paying it, so receiver has to pay. That's why we are saying that first is GTA. Yes, what you're saying is right, that GTA भी pay कर सकता है, but in case में in all of these scenarios, we want to understand who is the recipient. That's why we are saying, because GTA अगर वो pay कर रहा है, तो we will not pay. All these scenarios GTA is not paying, so receiver is paying it. So in case the receiver is paying, which of this receiver will have to pay? Consignee, company. Okay, since person liable to pay freight, so who is the recipient? हमने वही पे देखा था, the person who is paying to the GTA is the recipient. In this case, the freight is paid by the company, so GST under RCM will be paid by the company itself. Second scenario, partnership firm is a consignor and registered dealer Mr. A is a consignee, and freight is paid by Mr. A. So in this case, who will pay the GST. Of course, Mr. A, because he's the consignee. He is the person who's paying to the freight company. Third scenario, partnership firm and a registered dealer. Partnership firm may be registered or unregistered. Registered dealer, but Mr. A is registered. Registered instrument club, registered under GST. Partnership firm may be unregistered, but the person liable to pay freight is partnership firm. In this case, who will pay? Now, partnership firm, if it is registered, fine. But if partnership firm is not registered, then but dealer A is registered. Third scenario, Mr. A. No, it will still be partnership firm itself because the specified category of person covers partnership. Whether he is registered or unregistered doesn't matter. GST will have to be paid by the partnership firm. Fourth scenario is cooperative society providing service. Cooperative society is a consignor and Mr. A, registered dealer, is a consignee. Person liable to pay freight is Mr. A. So in this case, who is liable to pay GST? Mr. A will pay. Correct. Then cooperative society, whether registered or unregistered, providing services to a registered dealer, Mr. A. And no. Consigner is thing. Service provider is always GTA. Receiver is cooperative society and registered dealer A. The freight is paid by the cooperative society. In this case, who is liable to GST? Cooperative society. Correct. Case of 6, company A is unregistered, company B is also registered or unregistered. Freight is paid by company B. Then who is the service? Who is the service recipient? Who is to pay GST under RCM? Company B will pay. Correct. Unregistered dealer A and consignor is unregistered dealer A and consignee is registered dealer Y. Person liable to pay freight is unregistered dealer A. So then who is liable to pay GST? Dilip Devarala. Your answer is correct. Everybody's answer is wrong. Dealer Y, registered dealer Y, unregistered dealer A. Okay. So in those 7 category of people, did we say that if he is an individual, he will be one of those specified categories? He will not be, right? So he is not one of those specified category of person. So the liability will not shift to the consignee because payment to the GTA is happening by the unregistered dealer A and he is unregistered. So person liable to pay GST will be exempt supply. It will not be taxable. Because provider is GTA, receiver is not under those specified categories, then it will be falling under exempt supply. Okay, be careful here. That's why this exercise is done, so that you should understand that, okay, receiver, so receiver dal do. CA students, not so easy. You have to apply, be careful that whether legally he is liable to pay, he is not liable to pay because it doesn't say a business entity, it says a registered person. Now he is unregistered. So no liability will come in. Unregistered dealer A and a registered dealer Y. Now person liable to pay for it is registered dealer Y. So who will pay GST? Registered dealer Y, correct. Unregistered dealer A, unregistered dealer B. Person liable to pay freight is unregistered dealer B. सेवेंथ हु विल पे मैडम, अगर एग्जेम्प्ट लिखा है तो मतलब कोई पे नहीं करेगा, वही तो मैं समझाने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं आपको। नाइन्थ वाला अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर ए, अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर बी। करेक्ट, एवरीबडी इज गिविंग अ करेक्ट आंसर। इस केस में एग्जेम्प्ट रहेगा। कंपनी सी टू पार्टनरशिप फर्म, कंपनी सी GTA is a unregistered person. Still, the liability will be on company C. Unregistered dealer A, registered dealer Y. Tax, the person freight कौन पे कर रहा है? Registered dealer Y. So liability भी registered dealer Y पे होगी। Unregistered dealer A, unregistered dealer B, GTA भी unregistered है, सब लोग unregistered है और freight कौन पे कर रहा है? B पे कर रहा है। तो फिर right, even in the last scenario it will be a exempt supply because provider unregistered है, recipient भी unregistered है, so it's a exempt supply. Provider का नहीं देखेंगे, basically the criteria will be seen from the recipient genuinely, who is the recipient. On that situation we will decide. ठीक है, any doubts till now? Yes, Hardik.
Sir, can you please explain that first graph again, that exempted one?
Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if the supplier, the GTA person pays the tax, fine, he will pay it. Or if he makes payment, if he supplies to a registered person or one of those specified category of person, it will be taxable, either forward charge or reverse charge, whatever it is. But if they're supplying to anybody else who is not those 7 category of notified person, then 12% or 5%, both the cases it will be exempted. So you have to be one of those specified category of person, otherwise it is exempt.
Sir, if in short we can say that if GTA is paid by the, if GTA is a registered person, then he will pay tax. Always.
Not always. Even if here he is registered and he's paying at 12%, when he's supplying it to an unregistered person, he will see if he is unregistered, is he falling under those 7 category. If he is falling under that 7 category, then he will pay. Otherwise, he will not pay. The 7 category of specified category of person is important here.
Sir, we can say that if the GT is registered, he will pay in forward charge, and he will see that if if those 7% are falling, then he will pay in forward charge. If he is unregistered, then RCM will apply.
Correct.
Otherwise exempt. In all other cases, it will be exempt.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so we'll continue in the next class on other reverse charge and other explanation, and we will proceed further. Thank you very much.